Hello, and welcome to another InstaForex daily market analysis. For today, I decided to cover USD versus Japanese yen. I will speak about Bitcoin, dollar index, gold market, crude oil, and NASDAQ 100. I will start with the USD versus Japanese yen first, because I think there is actually quite a good and interesting situation here. If you take a look at the top right corner is the hourly time frame, we can see here that market actually had a breakout of this consolidation, and this is a pretty good sign for the further rally. And the recent last 4 hours we had a pullback, and more like a pullback and rejection. So I do see potential for the upside continuation. Daily time frame, we can see we're getting closer to the 20-day moving average, which is set at 148.78. On the weekly time frame, we had a rejection of the 20-week moving average, rising 20-week moving average this week. So that's a pretty good sign for the further rally from my perspective. And I will say the key upside objective for today for this potential rally is at 149.18. This is also the previous swing low. And we have, let's also take a look at the 20-day moving average at 148.78, 148, I will say 148.80 mark. So 148.80 mark and 149.18 mark, the upside objectives for this upside idea on the USD Japanese yen. Now let's take a look at the dollar index, because after the downside move and after the tests of our key support zone around 102.80, we didn't have any really follow through, and we actually had a rally in the pin bar and tail, so we broke that tail 103.18 and closed on the high yesterday, and that's a pretty good sign for the further rally. If we take a look at the hourly time frame, we had this more like a consolidation, and then market spent some time here during the consolidation. We have some first pullbacks after this initial rally. So if we can see the backup, I will say towards the 103.45, 103.50, and then there is a chance for the further rally on the dollar index, which is pretty much going together with our USD yen rally. So the dollar strength in the next period. So 103.64 and 103.69, we have some daily moving averages in that level, and then the previous week high, I will say, is also upside objective at 103.96. So those are the upside objectives short term on dollar index. And now Bitcoin versus US dollar. I think this is a very hot a sector, and there is lots of eyes watching this. So what we had here is a classic change in trend behavior from bullish to bearish. So we can see here that daily time frame, we had this we call a slope pattern, or more like a drift, for more like a drift wedge that we actually broke today. And not just that we had a breakout initial, we actually had a successful retest. So that's a pretty good sign, and pretty good sign for the further downside movement. Now the downside objectives are set. So we have a 20-day moving average at 65,212 mark, and we have a pin bar low in the pin bar territory around this I will say around 61,000 and 60,000 mark. So those are the downside objectives short term for the Bitcoin in a further downside movement. So again, wedging that happened the last 2 weeks, the strong downside breakout in the retest. So that's a pretty good sign, and a pretty strong sign of the weakness that appeared in the last few weeks, and especially yesterday, the market did a confirmation of that. The next one is crude oil. Now the thing with the crude oil is there was a lots of this underlying resistance at 81.10. It seems like the market didn't close above that, again close off the high, and that's not particularly good sign for the further downside today. So I do see potential for the downside movement. This seems like a failed bull flag or so. So there will be a chance from my perspective for some pullback, maybe rotational or even down day today towards the rising 50 bar moving average on the hourly, maybe some previous swing highs on hourly 79. Let's say 80 mark can be in the play, and then maybe even the previous day low around 79.60. So 80 mark at 79.60, they can be a downside objectives on the crude oil for today, based on what we see and the test reject of the previous swing high and the close of the high and this failure of this mini bull flag. So that's potential for that downside move. And finally, NASDAQ 100. So here I still see potential for the further drop. We have a very extended market, almost 20 weeks in a row above the our weekly moving average, and we had a tail a couple of days ago, actually on Friday last week, and I see this like a whole distribution that that can result with a further drop, and the downside objectives, the short-term downside objectives, are set at 17,600 and this pin bar area around 17,400 mark on the NASDAQ 100. So hourly time frame, pretty much noisy environment on the hourly time frame, but if you check the daily time frame and weekly extension, so it makes sense for the drop, and what happened the last 5 to 10 days is also a strong sign of weakness from my perspective. So downside potential on the NASDAQ 100. That will be all for this InstaForex daily market analysis. Have a good trading day, have a good weekend, and speak to you from next week from Monday.